Hey guys, what's up? It's Otis from Max Wax Packs. Today is December 19th, 2024, and I am doing this little video here to explain to you something that you definitely need to be made aware of. I wasn't aware of this. I didn't know that this was possible. That could be just because I'm still new in the industry. I mean, only 2 years into it. But I'm doing this because I want to make sure that everybody else is aware, so you don't make the same mistake I've made or fall for the same con crap that I fell for, so to speak. Okay, and I'll get to it in just a second. So what you see in front of you right here, this is a 2017 Panini Contenders Mahomes with an authentic grade and a auto 10, right? I saw this on eBay. It was an awesome looking card. I looked it over. I looked at it for a while actually, and it was being sold by Alt, who's a vaulting company. They're actually my vaulting company too. And I reached out to them and tried to get some more information on the card from who they were selling it for. Long story short, I didn't get much out of it on the information-wise, but it was fine. So to protect myself, and I could have bought this directly from Alt since I have an Alt Vault account already, and even if you don't, you can still buy from them. But I decided to call eBay, and I'm like, look, this card is being sold for $12,000 or $13,000. That's a very low price if what I'm seeing in the images, if that's actually it, and it's not, something's not being hidden. But I want to make sure that I'm protected, because if I bought directly from Alt, I'm not protected. So I'm gonna pay the extra and go on eBay, and I'm like, okay, fine. So I get it through the Alt listing on eBay, and I get the rep on the phone as I'm buying the card, and the person verifies if the card has creases, dents, cuts, whatever, blah blah blah. It's not as described. Then you're covered by eBay money back protection. Okay, so that's one issue, right? The other thing is that here's where the stuff comes in that I didn't know, that I'm learning now, and I think everybody should know, is when I saw the card label as authentic, in my mind, as with most people I spoke with about this, the authentic part is usually, I mean, in this case, an idea of, let's say the person thinks the card has problems with it, like there's a crease or there's a nick of some sort, or the corners are bad, or there's something wrong with the edges, they're banged up or whatever, and so the card's going to grade too low, right? They're like, look, I don't want to put a 7 out there because a 7 or a 6 even with a crease is going to devalue the card a lot, so I'm just going to have it graded authentic. That's normal. That happens. I mean, like it or not, that's the way it is. Here's the part that I didn't know. What I didn't know was if you get a card graded, right? And I'm going to give you this example right here. Here's a card that I sent in. Okay, this is a. I'll turn it so you can read it. This is a 1961 Fleer Elgin Baylor. Okay, now this is a whole different issue from Fanatics or PWCC because this card actually bought it graded, and when I sent it to PSA, it came back that it had been altered. Pissed me off because that's the third card from Fanatics that I've done that with. And these aren't cheap by any means, but we'll deal with that in a whole nother video between Beckett and Fanatics and the bullshit they got going on. So anyways, so if I get a card back and it says evidence of trimming, like you can see right there, right? I get the card in this, right? It comes back in this. It doesn't come slabbed or anything like that. I can then take that card out, right? Resubmit the card on a whole new submission, right, to PSA, and basically they don't know it's been sent before, and I'm not going to tell them it has. And I could say, don't grade the card. I don't need a numerical grade. Just authenticate the card. At which time, they will literally authenticate the card. That's it. And you will get back a card with the label of authentic with an auto of 10. Okay? That means that now I can put that card on the internet and sell it as an authentic, and there is no altered tag put on here, right? Even though the card's been altered, and this says it was altered, if I don't request a numerical grade when I send it in to be graded, but instead I just say just authenticate it, that's what I get back. So this now becomes the crooked workaround, and it's not PSA's fault. They have no way to know that these asshats are trying to trick everybody. But what it does is it allows a person who has prior knowledge of a card being altered resubmit the card, right, and not need a number grade at all. And therefore, you're just authenticating it. PSA's not checking for anything else. They're literally going to authenticate the card. It's not going to get an authentic altered grade. It's just going to get an authentic grade. And you've now bypassed the entire problem of having to admit that the card was altered. You can be an unethical asshat and you can get away with it. which is what happened with this card. Now let me explain to you a little bit more about this. This card was purchased exactly like this. Exact same label, I mean, same everything. The details are all the same. However, this card was removed and put back in this holder, and it was given the same label and everything, and that's part of their process. So I sent the card immediately when it landed. I sent it to PSA, okay? And first they called me, and they're like, hey, you're going to need to pay a little bit more because you did not ask for dual grading, even though it was already graded. You still have to pay the $100 or whatever. I said, fine, $6.99, whatever. I get an email next day, sorry, we cannot grade this card. This card is not eligible for a numerical grade. And I'm like, why the hell not? So this starts a back and forth, to which it finally comes out, this card has been altered. And I'm like, what the shit? Nobody said anything about it being altered. It was just authentic, right? So now that I requested it be graded with a numerical grade and it gets rejected, now it gets an altered status, okay? Now, if I want to get rid of that altered status, I just take the card out of here, submit it back, and just say, please authenticate my card. And it gets authentic in an auto 10, let's say, okay? Or I could send the slab back and say, please change this. I already talked to the PSA about this. But here's the catch, right? I want to show you something. I'm going to share the other screen with you, and I want you to understand this because you've got to understand how people are conning people. Here is the card right here. It has been resubmitted. This is now, so they took the original page down and they put the page back up with the new pictures, which they look identical to the old pictures, same cert number, but here's the difference. Because I asked for it to be card graded, now they put authentic altered, okay? Prior to that, here's another card I have. I bought this one, and it came as authentic. I asked PSA about this one. Do you have this at all being listed in your files, this cert, as an altered card? No. Okay, so when you look up that card, it says grade, no, authentic, okay? So this is what the Mahomes card looked like when I bought it, right? Little did I know that the person who owned it could basically manipulate it by resubmitting the card, not asking for a grade, just asking for it to be authentic. If he had asked for a grade, he would have gotten something like this, okay? However, in my case, it just says right here, authentic, altered. So first thing is, make sure when you run a cert, you don't just look and say, oh yeah, there's a cert, there's the card, it's legit. Make sure you go down to here. But then here's the downside to that. This gives you some sort of false hope that if I don't see it, like on mine, like on this Otani card, now this is a one-on-one card, I could give a damn, but on this card, if I don't see it, I would normally assume it's not altered. That's incorrect. Because if this card had been altered and the owner sent it in and said, just do authentic, it wouldn't say altered here either. But let's go one step further. Check this out. Let's go back to my desk here. Do you notice that there's the word altered is not on here, right? Even though this is the new label, there's nothing that says altered on here. It just says authentic. Well, it turns out that if there's no room to put the word altered, which usually will come under the word authentic, if there's no room for it, they won't put it. They leave it off. So I literally have two cards now. You can have two identical cards with two identical looking labels. None of them say altered, but one will be altered. And if you don't type that in and then scroll down to here on the page, sorry, I forgot you can't see that. If you don't scroll down to right here, right? But you're just like, hey, I'm at a show, I'm doing whatever. Oh yeah, it doesn't say it's deactivated cert, it's a legitimate cert, card's legit, okay? If you don't go to here and notice that there's an AA or an N1 or something, then you're screwed. Because even though they have it as altered in their database now, they're still not putting it on the label, right? Because there's no room. That part I don't get. I don't think that's smart. I think that's a very stupid move on the part of PSA because it does give off the idea that this is a known. If it was altered, it would be mentioned by PSA. But even though they have it in the database as altered, they don't put it here. Now, if this was not an auto grade, the word altered would be printed underneath. But because it's an auto grade, the word altered is removed, right? Very similar to my Otani. I don't know the status of this one, but here's what I've done. Since learning this, here's what I've done. I have now added to my auctions, sorry, let me turn that back on. I have now added to all my auctions, right? Because here's my Otani, and again, you can see it's got an auto grade. I have now added this statement. It was purchased by MaxOX Packs with a PSA authentic grade. We are not aware of any alterations or modifications made to the card prior to its grading by PSA. Cards graded by PSA authentic are sold as is and all sales are final. So the first thing I'm saying is I have not sent this card in. I didn't send it in prior. I'm not the one who got it graded. And I don't know of anything wrong with this card. And in that case, yes, I should be held responsible if I'm lying or if I failed to mention it. But by omission, by not mentioning it, if you don't mention this and you just say it's authentic, you're lying. You're lying by omission. In my opinion, you're conning somebody, right? Because you knew the whole time it was altered card. You intentionally had it graded so that the word altered was not, so that it wasn't logged in the database as altered, which you can do apparently by just telling them not to grade it and just check for authenticity. And then you get it back and you get to act, oh, I didn't know. And then you get to sell it. Well, that happened to me. But here's the catch on mine that's going to make it even more interesting. I want you to watch, I want you to listen. It's going to be about a minute, but I want you to listen to what happened prior to me buying this card. Now let me find my file here. So bear with me a second. I'm going to switch back to the desk here, and then let me find, where is my file? Give me a second. Right here. So I'm going to play this file for you. I want you to listen to this. Ready? Here goes.
Welcome to eBay customer service. My name is Tim. This is your callback request. What can I mess up for you today?
I want to buy a football card that's on eBay. It's $12,875. I'm going to buy it right now. It's in my cart. I'm ready to pay, but I just want to make sure that if somewhere there's in the card there's a problem that is not mentioned, and so if I get the card and I see that it's been creased or crinkled or there's a dent in it or a cut or something, then I want to send it back because that would not be mentioned. So am I protected under that?
Thank you very much for that. So I understand that you just want to know whether you have the eBay money back receipt. And actually, yes. Every time you do purchase here, once you see anything that might be not listed, like there's like small creases or small imperfections, yes, you're still protected with our eBay money back guarantee.
And okay, then I'm going to buy it right now with the understanding that if I want to return it later, I can. If there's a defect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just make sure that it is not as described, all right?
Okay.
There's a reason is significantly not as described.
Perfect. I will do that. Thank you so much. Okay. So what was important about this, right, is this call, I actually had the person on the phone while I'm buying this card. I wanted to make sure, and you know, when you call eBay, there's obviously things left out. They ask you your name, security questions. I took all that out of the conversation because I didn't need you guys to hear all that. But we're talking about the Mahomes, and the person responds back to me, is this about the 2017 Mahomes, blah, 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 yes. So I'm giving you the condensed now just to like speed it up. But the main thing is they're on the phone, and I'm like, okay, I'm about to buy this card, and I wanted to record it. Now, the funny thing about eBay is they let you know that your call is being recorded when you call them. Well, luckily, in Texas, we can do that as well. We're a one-party state where only one of the two parties on the phone has to know it's being recorded. So I record mine also, right? And I recorded this. And this is going to be what saves my butt. eBay is playing stupid right now. And I'm like, you can play stupid all you want, but you guys told me that if it's found to be this, so they're like, well, we need the report from PSA. So I wrote PSA, and their rep wrote me back and sent the file, sent the email with everything, the cert number, what had happened, evidence of trimming, blah, 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 blah. It's been cut. Now eBay is like ghosting me. I've written them twice now to send the card. Now my credit card company has also been informed, and they're disputing this as well. But the point being is it's the idea that when you're buying something, right, if the person wants to withhold the information because they know that it would severely affect, I mean, I paid 13 grand for this card. And I'm going to be honest with you, an authentic with an autograph is a valuable card. An altered is not. An altered is severely, and you look at Jordans or, you know, Jordan's rookie and stuff like that. I mean, a Jordan that looks like a 10, but it's altered is, I mean, a 10 is in the 150, 200, 200,000, you know, 150,000 on up range. But one that looks like a 10 but's been altered, like 3 grand. Okay? So we got to keep in mind that it drastically reduces the price when it's altered, right? Now, if it's an authentic card that hasn't been altered but has dinged corners and stuff, holds value. The minute that altered is on there, you're in trouble. So people are now going out of their way to hide that from you. They're going out of their way to make sure that people do not see the word altered. I'm not doing that. So for full disclosure on my side, any card that's authentic on mine is going to have that phrase now. But I'm going a step further now. Now I'm going to send the cards in when I get time. I'm going to send them in. I've got like 5 of them. And because I don't want anybody getting screwed. So I'm putting right now that I know nothing about it, but this card's different. So this card, I have every intention of sending it back and eBay taking it because they told me I would be protected. I would say that I'm going to put this out there. Some people would disagree, but I would say that there has to be another step ahead or a disclaimer put. If somebody puts the disclaimer, this card is authentic, but we don't guarantee that it has not been tampered with or altered, the minute I see that, I'd be like, I'm out. So instead, I write alt and I ask them, and when I don't get back the information that this card has been altered anyway, I'm like, okay, well, this is alt, big company, it's their account. I get it's their client, and their client could withhold telling them. But somebody's going to be responsible along those lines, right? Because authentic now can give you one feeling when the card could have been altered the entire time and somebody hide it. That bothers me. That does cause a problem here. And it is something that I'm battling right now. So I'm sure there are people who say, hey, you know what? That's your problem. You bought it authentic. I disagree with you 100%. You're just fucking dumb for saying that because authentic and authentic altered are 2 different things. It's like you buy a car and it's used, but it's used with an accident, then you want to be told it has an accident. And there you got Carfax, right? Well, I got PSA, and I would expect that these things would happen. I did not know that there's a way to get around it. And by getting around it, and I don't think that's what PSA's got intended. I don't think that's why they do it. They could very well think that, well, if you're keeping this in your own collection, you're not asking us to check it. We're not going to waste our man hours on it. And who cares if you're keeping it? They don't know. I don't think you could write them and say, hey, I'm going to go con people into buying this card by omitting that it's altered. Can you please take care of that? I don't think they would do it like that. But if you just submit it and you're like, hey, just authenticate it and that's it, well, you drop the altered label. What I do hold them responsible for is saying that they can't fit it. They can't fit it. They could have easily put AA on the top if it's going to be an altered card. You could fit it. Authentic A or AA or A authentic, A colon authentic or whatever it may be. There's definitely ways to fit another letter on here. They're choosing not to. That is what I hold them responsible for. If it's in the database as altered, it should be on the label as altered. You shouldn't be given the opportunity to trick people who don't scroll far enough or do whatever. Yes, it's up to the people, but we all know that in a card show or scanning on your phone or doing whatever, we may miss it. And that's just bullshit on our part. I mean, it's just bullshit. You know, one little slip up, whereas they have the information there and it's literally 1 letter more on the thing and everybody would know it's altered. Okay, so I'm just letting you know this. I mean, we're going full force to get this refunded, and I have full confidence that my attorneys are going to get it done. But the fact that people can manipulate it and can intentionally list card or have cards graded and intentionally omit parts that they know ahead of time, that is a concern that I think eBay has to address by saying that they will, if it either needs to be mentioned that it's been altered, or if it's determined to be altered, then the money is refunded, right? So people just need to put in there, maybe altered, could be altered, not responsible, if it's altered, fine. At least that's the disclaimer. But without that, you're led to believe that the card was not altered. And the only time you could do that is if you're the one who opened the card and you sent it in for grading, and you just asked it for authentic, then yes, you can say, I know for a fact this card was not altered once it was opened. You can't promise if the factory cut it wrong or something, but we're talking about a miscut or an intentional altering on your part, right? That's how you can guarantee it. Otherwise, you need to have a disclaimer down there, and that's it, period. And this goes back to the whole thing about if somebody cleans a card, right? And you get a card that's clean, and what about in a year when if a chemical has ruined it in a year? Who knows, right? And a PSA is supposed to be addressing this. Well, they need to address this too, in my opinion, because I think that it's something that definitely should be addressed to avoid people getting ripped off. All right? People like me, I'll get my money back. But there's some people that won't. There's some people that would have kept this card and not sent it in to get it graded, and they would never know. And that's just bullshit. All right? All right, guys, I hope that helps. I'll keep you posted on what happens, but watch out for those asshats that are doing that, and ask questions and save those questions. And when you call eBay, get them on the phone and make sure you record it so that you're protected too, because without that, it might have been a little bit more of an uphill battle for me. I'll talk to you all soon. Peace.